Caledonian Elixir. Broadcasting from Glasgow, Scotland, this is the Caledonian Elixir, and you can get involved by calling free from the UK on 0738 745 3353. That's 0738 745 3353. The international number is also on the screen, I believe, and you can come on the show by clicking the link too on the video description. Once you do that, just follow the simple instructions, enter a name, and whether you agree or disagree, it's free. So click on the link or call in the number and come on the show. And we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, X, and you can engage with us via Elixir there or other viewers by leaving a comment. So for all you who haven't watched this before, this show is a tragic deep dive into the human condition, told with wit and true grit, where we discuss everything from politics to the paranormal. However, in light of recent events this week, we're going to discuss the escalating war between Israel and Iran and try and get a debate with calls if there are those who want to come on and explain their views. And in a few minutes, I'm going to bring on my first guest. But I would like to give a little background to this conflict in terms of how I see it. Now, first, I'm not an Israeli or Iranian, so I'm not going to pick sides in this, but I'm going to lay out the facts as I understand it. So, this war beginning on June the 13th, with Israel striking dozens of sites in Iran, which has now killed over 1,000 Iranians. And military, scientists, civilians. So Iran has responded with their own retaliatory strikes using drones, missiles, including the Iranian hypersonic Pathfinder missile that has led to a tit-for-tat back and forth strikes with Israel retaliating, now hitting Iranian energy sites and media broadcasting centres, and that was broadcasted live for most of the world to see when Iranian broadcast networks were destroyed while the world was watching, which is a war crime. But there's a history to this conflict that you do not hear in the mainstream media. You know, the animosity between Iran and Israel didn't begin in 2025. So in 1953, a CIA coup ousted Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, after he committed the cardinal sin in the West, in the capitalist West, when he nationalised Iran's oil industry, which is the profits of Iran's oil going to Iranians. And for many Iranians, this interference by the CIA was the cardinal sin of interference too. So the Shah was put in power, who was the West puppet, and he ruled Iran with an iron fist until 1979. Then the Islamic Revolution happened that brought an anti-Zionist, anti-imperialist government into power, the Ayatollah, who was basically flown in from France, by the way. And the leadership in Iran's views, well, they see the expansion of Israel as the growing number of settlements in the West Bank, the seizing of Golan Heights in Syria, and the occupation of Gaza as an effort to create a greater Israel that serves as a sort of colony or outpost for the West. And as a result, Iran has funded and supported groups from Hezbollah to the Houthis in opposition against Israel. And this has led to designated terrorist attacks, such as what we saw on October the 7th in 2023. But, you know, these attacks on Iran in the last couple of weeks isn't because of the groups that we're funding or supporting, nor is it allegedly because of the regime that we have. Apparently, it's because of their nuclear program that many are claiming is weaponized and military, and is getting closer to constructing a nuclear bomb. Now, again, so I don't know if whether that's true. You know, I'm not going to discuss this from a perspective of this is the case. But I'm going to bring on my first guest to give me his views on the war, Mr. Gareth John, my co-producer.
Oh, Vincent.
How you doing, man?
Fine.
It's war. It's warm, man. It's very warm.
There's always war.
No, I mean it's warm. Sorry, like
warm. Yes, it is warm.
it is intolerably warm for me. I mean, this is happening in Scotland. It's Glasgow, and we're not used to the kind of weather we're getting here.
Yeah, it's been like
27 degrees.
27, 26. You know, that's just not my
Cup of tea.
Indoors, yes. Outdoors, hell no.
It's sort of impairing cognitive function, you know, a whole nervous system breakdown for me.
I also had a wee bit of back problem during the week there, so sorry for delays. That's on me. But I'm sort of back to almost fighting fit. Last week I was hobnobbing with
You were hobnobbing?
Yes, I was hobnobbing with Jimmy Dore and Neil Oliver.
What's hobnobbing?
No, just hanging out with, catching up with.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of gay.
No.
Right. So you were hanging out with. You weren't catching up with Jimmy Dore because it's the first time you.
Yeah. Well, always catching up with him. Actually, just meeting them for the first time. Really nice guys. Really cool. Really, just what's going on. Yeah. Good guys.
So,
but he's never been to Clydebank.
He's never been.
He's never been.
So he had a comedy show in Clydebank and you attended and it was good.
Yeah, it was great. Food didn't show up though. That it was great.
Right. Well, shout out to Jimmy Dover.
Yeah, shout out Jimmy, shout out Neil.
So again, this war, I'm trying not to come down on the side of it. You know, it may sound like I am at times, but I'm really on the fence on this. I'm opposed to the war beginning. And since Israel started the war by these strikes, not just on Iran's nuclear program, but on also civilian. Yes, so I'm just going to lay out the facts. If it sounds like I'm opposed to Israel for laying out the facts, so be it. But they did start this war, and I don't think we should enter to finish it.
No.
However, just to give a little, bird's eye view to those who are going to be watching this or are, and have no idea what's been taking place, could you roll some footage of the war?
Yes.
Hímale.
That's
like Guy Fawkes on steroids or something, man, just raining fire down. Like, geez.
Well, that footage, I believe, was from Tel Aviv. the second night of retaliatory strikes by Iran. Now, I don't think I'm wrong when I say for Iran, this war is a war of survival. Though. You know, when the Prime Minister of Israel is now calling for regime change, you know, and he actually called for the assassination of Ayatollah. And, you know, in the preceding 18 months, we've had the coup of Assad in Syria. We've now got al-Jilani, the former head of ISIS, ruling in Damascus. We've had the strikes in Lebanon, taking out Hezbollah leaders. We've got the genocide or the alleged genocide in Palestine, basically reducing Gaza to rubble, destroying all the infrastructure, and with the ICC, the International Criminal Court, now serving an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. So, based on all that, I think the Iranians have got good reason to be afraid. So, you know, Gareth, is this war, in your mind, about stopping Iran acquiring weapons of destruction, or is that a pretext for something else?
I think it's a pretext for something else, considering that Netanyahu's been saying this since like 1996. No, 1996 he stood in the world stage and said, you know, in 3 months Iran's going to have the nuclear bomb. Then he did it again, what, 2015, just over and over. It's almost like the body cried wolf, you know, because he's been saying this for so long with little to no evidence. I mean, the fact that Iran actually let inspectors in and Israel doesn't, that's got to tell you something. You know, Tulsi Gabbard stood in the world stage only 90 days ago and said they do not have a bomb.
In fact, could you play the video of Donald Trump basically throwing Tulsi Gabbard under the bus in respect to that?
It's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York.
Oh, my bad, wrong one.
But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
I mean, I put somebody in that position of national intelligence if you're not going to listen to them.
I think she should resign, to be quite honest.
I like Tulsi. I mean,
not because she said that, because Donald Trump turned around and said, "I don't care what she said."
Yeah, well,
if he doesn't care what his DNI has said,
then what's the point of her being there?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, she is very anti-nuclear war. You've just seen her videos recently, you know, from Hiroshima and all that as well. But and again, like with Trump, what happened to America first? Why is it America fourth? Why are we playing world police? Regime change hasn't worked in Syria, hasn't worked in Lebanon, hasn't worked in Iraq, didn't work in Afghanistan. Why is this going to be any different?
It's not just that, though, mate. The thing is, he's not talking about boots on the ground. He's talking about regime change using the Air Force solely. There is no example in history where the US or any other power that I'm aware of has managed to cause regime change just using air power.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
even in Libya, there was already a civil war with militias fighting against Gaddafi at that point, with the US and Western coalition essentially providing air cover.
Yeah.
So that's not even a great comparison. Yeah. What I think is that Netanyahu believed, and I think it's called Operation Lionheart. That is what it's called? Rising Lion, Operation Rising Lion. I think Netanyahu believed that this, once these operations began, that there would be a uprising in Iran.
Yeah, because Ayatollah isn't very popular, hasn't been for decades. Well, since it's been installed, but obviously, again.
Well, he does have support, especially in the rural parts of Iran.
Yeah, and in the Arab world, I mean, most of the Arab world and...
the Shia parts of the Arab world and the Sunni parts, he's quite despised.
Yeah.
Like the Catholics and the Protestants.
Like Russia's backing him, and China's backing him, India is backing him. No, Pakistan, sorry. Oh, sorry. That's a big error on my heart.
What error did you make?
I confused India and Pakistan.
Oh, you don't do that.
That's a big mistake. I apologise.
I mean, personally, I don't think Iran's after a nuclear weapon. I mean, do you know, like, the Ayatollah has imposed a fatwa
Yeah.
on which is essentially a prohibition. So in Iran, there is a fatwa against acquiring a nuclear weapon. So, you know, if you've got a fatwa, a prohibition by the supreme ruler, and we're told essentially that Iran is a dictatorial theocratic
Yeah.
regime. So when the dictator, the person with all power,
Says
prohibits
that-
it,
Yeah, then it's prohibited.
and then you've got Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, who said that Iran, you know, doesn't have a weaponized nuclear program. So
Yeah.
what are we talking about here?
And didn't she say they're like 3 years away? So like Trump could basically sit out 90% of his entire term and not have to deal with this. I don't get. I mean, obviously there's Israel lobby and all that, but I just don't see why you get such a hard one to go in.
Well, also you have, well, he has imposed that 2 week stay. You know, he's given Iran a 2 week window on making a decision.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, Donald Trump's negotiating position has been all over the place. Just a couple of months ago, it was the position of the Trump administration that Iran could enrich uranium.
Yes.
You know, and then in the last month, he changed it to no, they could enrich zero uranium.
Yeah.
And he had to abandon the weapons program altogether. Now, Iran's under no obligation to accept that because it is their legal right by international law to, you know, have
Yeah. And as long as you keep it under 90%, it's not weaponized.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, I believe for power it has to be like 30%, which they're well within. I think as well that I'm only my train to up here. I think it's very, very convenient for Netanyahu to, you know, essentially start this war, be a war crime, because it's a preemptive strike, which are forbidden. So that's like me saying, that's like me punching you in the face and saying he was going to punch me in the face 3 years from now. I have a right to defend myself. You know, and I
And
think
then the guy could just show him, Matt. He's been saying that for 20 years.
yeah, I've been saying for 20 years you're going to punch me in the face.
Aye.
And it's like I just don't.
No, in fact, you know what? It's more like when you've been
And then
you've been pissing someone off for 20 years and then arguing to your family and all your friends, he's going to hit me one of these days. And then 20 years later, he actually does turn around and hit you, and you go, look, see, he's hit me.
that happened first.
But I did. You know, so I don't know, man.
But it's very convenient that like a lot of countries in Central Europe were starting to like look into Gaza and go, well, maybe this is a genocide. Maybe we should withdraw support of this guy. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, look over here, Iran, you know. And it's just shifted the narrative completely. It's such a.
It's not just that. You've got the head of the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, who has came out also recently and said there is no evidence Iran has a nuclear, you know, a weaponized nuclear program.
Yeah.
So you've got the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, Rafael Grossi of the IAEA, the Ayatollah himself imposing a fatwa on a weaponized program. What are we talking about? Is it basically a distraction for?
Oh yeah.
And it really reminds me, see, for all the people who are supporting these strikes in this war, for the reason that they think there's about to be a nuclear weapon launched by Iran. Do you not remember Iraq?
Yeah, the weapons of mass disappearance.
Which turned to be completely hocus pocus bogus nonsense, man.
Yeah.
Like, do people not learn?
I
The
mean,
Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. There's such a false flags. In fact, there's that whole conspiracy of that aircraft carrier being over in the region. Like one of the Americans have an aircraft over there. It's just about to be decommissioned.
The Nimitz?
The Nimitz. That's the one I'm trying to remember the name. And a lot of people say that's just a sitting duck to be hit for a Gulf of Tonkin.
And then it's kind of like
But
Iran.
you've got to remember, well, Russia has assets in Iran for nuclear energy.
Well, Putin recently made a statement because the Russians have somewhere between 200 to 600 scientists still working at these sites in Iran, the
And
nuclear
they're
sites.
building 2 more.
And they have said they are not removing their own scientists. So if the Americans, with full knowledge of that fact, carry out this attack, killing hundreds of Russian civilians, that will pull Russia in more so into the war. And I'm not saying Russia is going to respond with an all-out strike against the United States, but it could force them to start sending armaments into Iran to support the Iranians, to give them more support.
Yeah,
And you've already got Pakistan sending
and
trucks load of weapons.
and China's put their support behind the Ayatollah as well. So, or Iran, I should say. So, I mean, that's like three of the biggest nuclear powers backing Iran versus what one. Because as much as we like to think we're a nuclear power and Australia's a nuclear power with Canada, they're not. America is. And so.
Well,
and
France does have an independent nuclear deterrent.
Yeah.
We don't.
No, we don't.
We're
We're part of
dependent.
ACOS.
So, but I'm not so sure the West, as opposed to nuclear proliferation, as they say they are, because I remember when Zelensky, the end of last year, said he thought Ukraine should have a nuclear bomb. There was crickets from the mainstream media in regards to that. They weren't crying, and there's got psychopaths in Ukraine that would love to use a nuclear bomb. I mean, there was that on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant with Ukrainian drones that happened last year. And this is the largest nuclear power plant in all Europe, hit by Ukrainian drones.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that went boom, that would make Chernobyl look like a storm in a teacup.
When you start playing with nukes and nukes enter a conversation, I think a lot of people's rationale goes out the window. But like I say, when it comes to this, I think it's a dog whistle when it comes to Iran. I don't think they might be developing, but they're nowhere near where Netanyahu has said they are over the last 25 years. Because, and also you've got to remember as well, Trump's somewhat responsible for this because he was the one that brought up the nuclear the proliferation bill with Obama installed, which triggered the Ayatollah to do the fatwa. So, in a way,
that triggered the Ayatollah and the Iranian government to basically enrich uranium. I think they had an agreement to enrich uranium below 5%. And once that agreement was ripped up, it was well within the Iranians' legal rights to enrich uranium at a higher level.
So this is basically a hell of Trump's own making as well. But
in a sense, and you hear Trump comment on this saying that if Biden didn't get in, Iran was on its knees. So if he won the presidency in 2020, then we would have seen the collapse of Iran. I think that's what he. But do we want the collapse of Iran? Because look what has happened since we've seen the collapse of Syria. We've got the head of ISIS as president.
And I mean
we've had the massacres of Christians and allied populations who are now seeking refuge beside Russian bases because no one else will protect them. Because the head of Syria, al-Jawlani, is a former ISIS lieutenant. What does that tell you? And he's our man. Operation Sycamore.
And of course, the IDF is made up of three terrorist organisations as well from the past. A lot of this is to do with oil again as well. Petroleum. So it all comes back to the black stuff. And it's always, it's a stock market, like you said last week. Was it last week? Or the week before our episode? It's Wall Street that decides. I mean, you were saying off air that who was it? And if they made that will cut off the oil supply to The world's largest country.
Or
Is
well,
it the Houthis or something?
well, what the Houthis could do is essentially close off the Red Sea, and what the Iranians could do is close off the Straits of Hormuz, and you would see the oil markets just go absolutely crazy. And you've got Trump's domestic recovery, and where's that going?
Well, that's what I was wondering as well. Like, why is it?
Why is this? Why is he is wanting? Now, number one, most of the world would love the American economy because it's massive, right? But he's experimenting with so much. You've got the tariffs, which could go wrong because we saw the bond yields just skyrocket. That's why he kind of rolled them back, right? Given it.
Well, I mean, the American economy has been in deficit since 2002. What happened in 2002?
Well,
Yeah.
you like the
Yeah.
wars. So.
And I mean, when it comes to like what happened to drill? What you say? What happened to drill, baby drill? And now we're back to blood for oil or blood for nuclear again and again. And
It's
again.
all like here's the thing.
What happened?
Did you
What happened?
see? Did you
No
see
more
the?
forever wars?
Did you see the Ted Cruz Tucker
Yeah,
Carlson?
I seen bits of it, and it was quite laughable.
And Tucker Carlson was challenging Ted Cruz on how it's in America's interests and how it's in Germany's interests that essentially, because the Nord Stream pipeline has been destroyed,
Who did that
Germany's
again?
Germany's oil and fuel is skyrocketing, right? So how is that in Germany's interests that the United States is now supplying Germany with American LNG and they can't get the affordable Russian oil and gas?
Yeah.
And Ted Cruz was like, well, it's in our interests. And, and I'm paraphrasing the mayor, but that's what it comes down to. It's not in our interests. There's a lot of people that benefit from this on Wall Street. A lot of American politicians, who are getting, lobbyists, who are giving these people tens of millions, and we're getting rich off of people dying.
Yeah, and the Israel lobby's got a lot to answer for, especially in America, because there'll be so many politicians in their pocket.
You know what,
on both
Gav,
sides.
can you play Netanyahu?
Yeah.
This goes to about America.
It's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. I understand America first. I don't understand America dead. That's what these people want. They chant death to America. So we're doing something that is in the service of mankind, of humanity, and it's a battle of good against evil. America should and does stand with the good. That's what President Trump is doing, and I deeply appreciate his support.
Netanyahu went on ABC News and said, no, we want to kill the Ayatollah.
Aye. You know what I mean? Jeremy?
When
It's just fucking.
when he says
America
first,
dead, you know.
dead. This is awkward because that statement out of context, I agree with, right? But out of his mouth, come on, you don't mean that shit. In fact, he's begging America for bunker busters, which means he started this whole thing knowing that he couldn't finish it. Friends don't do that. To paraphrase Steve Crowder, friends don't start fights that they know they can't finish it. To finish it.
I don't know. I think there are those in the echelons of Israeli society and military who believed that Iran would collapse like a house of cards.
Yeah.
Just like we saw in Lebanon with Hezbollah, just like we saw in Syria. I think they felt that they could take down Iran. And right now, right now in Israel, there are signs that I've seen them saying, Mr. President, help us, Mr. President, finish off the job. They started something they can't finish.
I think I've seen that film, Mr. President, finish off the job. That gives a happy ending.
And then I remember I think it was Colonel Douglas McGregor recently saying that round about a third of Tel Aviv has been damaged or destroyed.
Wow.
And we've seen some of the footage, and for example, the Israeli government prohibits footage and information about the strikes, the Iranian strikes, especially on sensitive targets like military installations. So we really don't know.
They bombed them on air.
The Israelis bombed the
Iranians on air. They were on the Iranian journalist on Jimmy Dore And as they're talking, the sirens go off, and then the ceiling just starts coming in. And they had to get the hell out. So, I mean, Israel seems to be very, very sort of averse to press anyway. You know, they don't seem
They
to
have killed more journalists in Gaza than any other war in modern history.
more in World War II, World War I combined. You know, and it's like
Vietnam,
Vietnam.
Korea.
yeah, I mean,
Gulf
it's
War.
the most dangerous place to go if you get a trespass. Why are we helping these people again?
Oh, because they're LGBTQ friendly, Colin.
Oh, right.
That excuses the
Yeah.
fact that they've killed
Yeah.
20,000 children and
Yeah, but they don't eat bacon.
Gaza.
I don't trust no one that don't eat bacon. Sorry.
do you know, like, let's hit a break. Let's play some Meet Me in Moscow. We had some new wait a minute before you do that. So I've recently acquired a music license for the Caledonian Alexa, so we can play, commercial music again, and without any copyright crap. So it's going to get so much better. So what I want you to do, right, because it helps us out. You don't need to tip us, but if you do, that'll be awesome. That helps us pay for this copyright crap, right? However, if you could like, follow, and subscribe, because this is going to get so much better as it goes on. And we're going to have a new intro, a new studio soon, because this is basically done out of the bunker in Glasgow. We constructed this bunker for fear of nuclear war. That was right. And this guy watched too much of The Last of Us, and that was his first season. That actual season, it was good. And he thought there was going to be a fungi apocalypse.
More the day after. It's like, we got to build the bunker. We've got to go in.
The day after.
Yeah. Recommended viewing.
That is an amazing film.
Yeah.
Go for it. Meet Me in Moscow.
The train said Moscow as I stood against the wall, stranded in Warsaw with no one to call. I needed to get there before the heat came down. I knew that my future lay deep down in the underground. Meet me in Moscow. Come on and meet me in Moscow. The mood was undecided. Some of them scratched their heads. The truth was ill-divided, broken like a frozen piece of bread. But I needed to get there before the heat came on down. I always knew that my future lay deep down in the underground. Meet me in Moscow. Come on, meet me in Moscow. And meet me in St. Petersburg by the sea. I know that something's waiting.
Welcome back to the Caledonian Elixir. And if you're just tuning in, you can come on by calling the number on the screen or clicking the link in the video description. And if you haven't already followed or liked, please do. Right, well, we're discussing the Israel-Iran war and the role of the United States in America. And personally, I think Trump is more involved in this than it appears. And the reason I think that is because this attack in Iran that began on the 13th started exactly like the covert drone attack on Russia, on Russian air bases a few weeks ago. And we did an episode on that.
Yeah, Operation Spiderweb.
Operation Spiderweb, where Russia's nuclear triad, one leg of it, was attacked, and so was our early warning system. Now, the commonality between this and the Iranian attack is that both were taking place under negotiations, and Trump threatened. He threatened the Russians that before 1 week before the attack happened, that something bad would happen to Russia, and then we had the covert drone attack. Likewise, in Iran, Trump threatened Iran during negotiations just about a week before the drone attack, and then, like we saw, somewhere there was a covert drone attack hitting very sensitive sites. So there's definitely a commonality in that both attacks took place during negotiations, and Trump threatened both nations 1 week before the attacks. So I think this whole America first thing, we're not getting involved, suits Trump's whole MAGA, we don't want to start any new wars. It gives him some...
Well, also threatened Greenland as well, sure.
And Canada.
And Canada. Yeah, and then I seen a headline on YouTube from BBC saying that he threatened to kill the Supreme Leader, which is not what he said. He said, we're not going to take him out, in brackets, kill, yet, right? So he didn't actually say he was going to kill him, but there were a lot of places saying that he threatened to kill. I mean, he might, it's like, threatened to kill at a later date, possibly, maybe, you know, which is not the same as saying, I'm going to kill him. Yeah.
It's a bit like Obama's policy of leading from behind. Do you remember when he bombed Libya? But Britain and France was basically spearheading it front.
I thought it was Mike Obama that likes to lead from behind.
Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Aye. Do you think there's any truth to what we're saying about Macron's wife?
I mean, well, either she's really, really good at basketball, or, you know, I mean...
I think it's Candace Owens that has alleged that...
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I like Candace Owens, you know.
Kurt Nestor as well, he alleged to. I don't know, I mean, Brigitte Macron does have a very strong 5 o'clock shadow and jawline, you know?
Yeah.
And those hands are fucking huge. It's almost
Did
like,
you see the footage where she was hitting
yeah,
Macron?
hands him like a basketball, like poof. And then he's like, that video of Trump earlier that we played when he was saying, like, oh, I don't care what Tulsi says. He was sort of leaning out the Air Force One like that. Do you think Brigitte was maybe behind him? Going,
Maybe it was Melania.
No, maybe.
Because, you know, she's an attractive woman.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump's about 80, so let's
Yeah.
face it, something's going on there.
I mean, Gal Gadot, she was a member of the idea.
What am I alluding to when I say that?
Oh.
Something's going on there. An 80-year-old man with a woman, but 30 years he's junior, you know?
I would like to see in public.
But I know, I like Trump, and Melania is, you know, she's...
Well, I don't know if you've seen the meme going about, and it's Jeffrey Epstein, and it says, you're going to war for Israel because I have platinum, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like really, really close with their head of defence and stuff.
Oh,
he used to like draw up battle plans and shit.
And there was that image, that footage not footage, sorry, tweet by Musk, you know,
Oh,
claiming that, you know,
Trump was on their fight. Ah,
so maybe this is why Trump,
yeah.
you know, he's been blackmailed because we're saying that the Mossad, Epstein was, you know, a member,
Mhm.
an agent of the Mossad. And, you know, who knows, but he definitely did have intelligence connections.
Yeah, and he did sort of like help Israel a lot as well. So I mean, and it's weird how it seems to be mostly sort of Western. Well, obviously it's out East, Middle East versus the West. It's always been like that.
I mean, if you said it's always been like that, but that takes me back to General Wesley Clark, who said years ago that there had been a straw up for overthrown 7 countries.
Seven countries
And I
bangers.
believe it was Iraq, Yemen, Sudan, Syria,
Libya.
Libya, Lebanon, and Iran.
Mm.
And we have had every one of those countries overthrown, their leaders overthrown,
Yeah.
apart from Iran. So
Yeah.
it's like it's going according to
Yeah,
plan.
it's like
And look
Middle
at
East
what
bingo.
But look what happened to Gaddafi, Gaff. The
Yeah.
guy was brutally sodomized to death in a
Yeah.
street by a gang and killed. They shoved a bayonet up his
Well, I
ass.
mean, he kind of deserved it, though. I mean, he was.
Oh, I'm not fit to judge any man, you know what I mean, apart from you.
Because
Because you're my producer and if
Yeah.
you're doing a good job, and I'm judging you.
But I mean, you know, over here did Lockerbie and all that as well. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, I met a few Libyan people who said that he was a decent enough leader when they were there and stuff. So, no, who knows?
Mhm.
Who knows?
But the Wesley Clark point I'm making about General Wesley Clark saying that
Mm.
is it shows that this isn't something that
I believe we're getting a call.
ah. Hello. Hello. Who? Did you call him a total Bavarian?
Barbarian.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Right. I can hear you absolutely fine. Can you tell me your name, please, and where you're from? Have you called in before, Susan? I recognise your voice. Right. So I agree with you. But what I'm going to do, Susan, is after your call, I'm going to play again the footage so you can watch it back of the missile strikes on both Tehran and Tel Aviv, and that again goes to your point about modern warfare. Can I ask you, does this remind you of the Iraq War, where we were told we had to intervene because of weapons of mass destruction? No, and what have you seen any politician or anyone on the television giving you any convincing information that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iran either? So what did there is the criminal case or that judicial case going on, so he will have to go to court. He will have to face justice after this war ends. So he does have an incentive to keep the wars going, because he is facing legal issues in Israel. So you do have. Yeah, he is facing legal issues in Israel, and once the war ends, he'll need to confront those judicial legal matters. So yeah, he could face, some prison time or something. I don't know, because it's in the courts now. Yeah. Have you got any last comments you'd like to give us before we? Mm, mm. Well, that show by example is a very good point, because we are saying that Iran can't get a nuclear weapon, whereas you have Israel committing a alleged genocide with a stockpile of hundreds of nuclear weapons. So it's like rules for thee, not for me. But anyway, thanks for your call, Susan, and right, bye. Right. Right.
Oh, Susan said you
Oh, can you check the chats? See if we've got any chats.
Oh, yes, we do. I've got the chats. Let's have a look. What's this? Change times. Asks, what's the subject? We can't hear the caller, and what is she saying?
Change times.
Yes.
Is that you, Jordan? Well, the subject is on the Israel-Iran war, and you will see a link in the video description. So if you click that link, you can get on that way, or you can call and come on the show. So,
Well, yes, show on screen. No. This is LOL, yes.
when did that comment come through?
Just now.
Right. So, Gareth, the comment and the comment about the cases that Netanyahu has to face. Do you think keeping these wars going, whether it's in Lebanon, Syria, Iran now, or the genocide in Palestine, is just a pretext to prevent him from facing punishment?
Yes, and also I think, it's clearly genocidal, so why shouldn't it be suicidal? He doesn't care if he dies in this one, because if he doesn't die, he has to go to court, right? So, and even if it goes to court, I'm pretty sure his pal Hillary might arrange something nice for him, in his cell, with his bed sheets,
But by the way, for those who are listening, if you can hear a distinct humming in the background, it's because there's a fan, a big tower fan, because there is no AC in our studio in the bunker here. We have to get a new one.
Yeah.
But
AC
it's really warm where we are, and because we're in the bunkers, there's bad circulation, so we need this fan blowing at the moment. I'm not a big fan of summertime, I have to admit.
Me neither.
When it's below 23 or something like that, that's not bad, but that's all 27 or 30 degrees nonsense in Britain. I'm not saying it's like...
Same with women. I'm kidding.
Have you got any other comments?
No, not at the moment, no.
What about the links? Can you check if...
I don't see anyone on the links.
You need to scroll down.
No one there.
Right. Well,
don't they play the fireworks display? I mean,
Put on the footage of the missile attacks. Give Susan.
Имале.
that's me, aye. So that's us back.
Yeah. So again, Susan, Jordan, Gareth John, you know, what do you think?
Everybody else. Well, I mean, it's war. I mean, I think our generation, and certainly the generation under us, are more desensitized to these sort of things from video games. I think.
Yeah, no, like
Before-
we've got
before-
Change Times there, and
Yeah.
you know, people like Change Times because I know who Change Times is. Loves for war games.
Yeah.
You know, they love to play war games, and there is a level of desensitization involved.
And
I mean, you get these people who are like essentially drone pilots.
yeah, I was just about to say that. And they use the exact same equipment.
Yeah,
You know, and like you were saying, they'll read that. Like,
remote killing.
Yeah, that drone operators are always in the same place. But you
Yeah.
can actually get clips for your phone and basically control drones from your phone, so you can be on the move
hmm
and killing people at the
Mhm.
same time. Just jump in a car, drive, someone else, and,
hmm
while you're scudding the shit out of a neighbour. It's atrocious.
hmm And that's the thing. What's happening in Ukraine? I don't know if we feel like we have that illusion of safety because they're at a distance away from the front line, and then out of nowhere comes an Iskander missile or a wave of drones. What do you call them? Geranium drones, and they just descend on the base, killing all these people. On basically,
I mean, I guess,
I mean, so you have that illusion of safety, but you're not safe.
yeah. And like, just remember, like in the 80s and stuff, they used to just cluster bomb places, carpet bomb places.
Well, they were saying
and
that
was-
the Iranians were doing that.
That was deemed illegal under the Geneva Convention.
The,
Which is
Gav,
always
they
a-
were saying that the Iranians were doing that. Tel Aviv, or was it Haifa? In the last week, they were found cluster munitions and missiles. But again, the Ukrainians are using cluster weapons, and they're getting the cluster bombs from who? Us, our government,
Yeah.
not me.
And
in
the
particular.
premise,
I'm not involved in that industry.
but I mean, when you send like 40, 50 drones with X amount of warheads, that's just the same as dropping a cluster bomb. It's just more precise, I guess. as well.
I mean, I remember listening to this soldier who was in the Kursk in Russia, and he was a mercenary, sort of like he was
Good for her.
yeah, and he was saying how they all carried shotguns because the best defense against the
The drone.
Ukrainian drones was shotgun. The buckshot, it would
Just
just scatter,
yeah.
and it would either
messes up their sensor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I mean that's interesting to think. Like
Yeah.
if you and you see drones on our skies all the time now.
Yeah.
I'm lying on my couch half the time and I hear this humming sound, and then
If it's not a drone, it's a chemtrail.
chemtrails and drones or not.
Just-
But we're trying to do it a bit more professionally here
Yeah.
with the Caledonian Alexa. As I said, we have that license to play music now. So we've got the opportunity to download thousands of songs for breaks, for our intermission. And when we've got a show coming on soon about what's that?
We've got a chat from Kylie Crossing. Should Britain be involved with this war, or should they remain neutral?
Well, I
don't
think they
I don't think we're particularly neutral. But, I mean,
well, we are involved right now in shooting down Iranian missiles from the base in Cyprus. You have RAF jets flying off from that location. So we're not neutral, but I don't think we should get any more involved than what we are.
yeah.
Because I think if the bombers, the bombers that the US are going to be using have to or will be being flown up from Diego Garcia, which is an RAF base. So that being said, that would make Diego Garcia and the British bases there a target. So, you know, and it's not our war. As I said, I'm not British. Sorry, I'm not. You know, I'm Scottish. I'm not, but I'm not Iranian. You know, I'm not Israeli. So I don't want to be involved.
I don't want to be involved. I mean, I think that this is just, you know, when Trump ran on a peace platform, you know, he wanted to be the peacemaker president. He wanted the Nobel Peace Prize, etc., etc.
Ask the comment back if they, what do they think? And remember, if you disagree with what we're saying, you can call in. I don't know if you heard the last caller, if it was a problem with the audio. You definitely can get on by clicking the link that way. So just click the link instead. I mean, World War One occurred because there was this entanglement of alliances between nations, just like we see here in the Middle East, an entanglement and alliance between nations, with Iran and an alliance or very close to nations like Russia, Pakistan, China, and Israel, very close to essentially NATO.
Yeah, you've got BRICS and all that as well.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, that's one thing I thought about, like, you know, Trump's isolationism. I thought, finally an end to this, you know. But I guess Israel holds the checkbook and whatever they want, they get. Daddy wants, Daddy gets, you know.
If Trump does bomb Iran, I'd no longer support him.
Yeah, I mean, he still has my support at the moment, but I'm extremely.
He has my support at the moment, but not.
But this America First instead of America First is just, you know, and world policing again. It's just it's done, man. I thought we moved on.
And Lindsey Graham's comment, what was it? Lindsey Graham said the day Israel hit the nuclear facilities, it wasn't just nuclear facilities, it was civilian targets too, allegedly. And my views do not represent myself. I don't even represent myself here. Anything I say, don't hold me accountable for it.
I'm holding
no, I mean, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so did we get?
I just seen another chat there from Change Times. 2.35k subs. Awesome, mate. Love it.
Well, Adash, again, you can click the link and come on. And if you agree, disagree, just give us your views and tell us what you think on the subject. I don't know if you're keeping track on the war or are aware of the impending ticking clock on the deadline.
He also says I've not looked into it much to know the details. Sorry, I'm a bit slow on the chat, so I'm not used to.
Now, as I said, but this is something we're doing every week, and as this show progresses, we are going to do it twice a week. if we can get more subscribers. And we are broadcasting to multiple platforms, not just YouTube, but we're also on X. You can catch us on Spotify too, on podcast. You know, what else? Facebook.
Facebook, X, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Alexa, Amazon Music, Apple Music.
That's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing I appreciate about this format is there isn't the bias and controls that are imposed by mainstream media. You know.
We've got our own biases and stuff, but we're honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, my views don't even represent myself, mate.
No.
You've got your view biases. You know, I change like whatever. But you know, what is Mossad puts for?
Two things. I've not been keeping track of it. The last war between Ukraine and Russia was depressing enough. That's still ongoing, mate. So we can take it through that. You know?
Yeah, I used to watch I can't remember the show. It's not available anymore, but I remember Change Times there. We would listen to this podcast on the Ukraine-Russia war, and it was so monotonous listening to all these attacks. It wouldn't go anywhere, and again, the war's still ongoing. There's not been a resolution. And it's like, Jesus Christ, how many people are dead now?
Yeah, and that's what 3 years, and we're about to start another war. And I don't think Americans can afford this. We certainly can't.
I know with 35 trillion in debt. You know.
As Kingsley Crossan says, general view in the US is that most of us don't want to be involved. It feels like we're fighting in the Middle East for years, just like your men and just like your men and women. Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's sending more people into the desert just to die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and I know I've got some friends who do want Trump to get involved, who do want Hugh.
Yeah.
Hugh. I mean, I don't know if I'm misrepresenting your views, and I did ask you on the show to debate me. Hugh's a regular contributor to the show.
Yeah.
He's been on multiple episodes. And as I said, I think he's got it all wrong on me in terms of how I see this. I know that there is ethnic fault lines in Iran, and they're not all behind the government. That's not my position. But that, I don't think we should just all get involved, and just because we've got a bad government and overthrow the regime.
It's not just about people going over and dying though. It's like, I know so many people. I know a few people that served in like Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff, and most of them, well, a couple of them have got severe mental health issues. Like the PTSD is just insane. Certain times of the year they cannot function. You know, like running about bonfire night and stuff. They just like literally just hide in cupboards. You know, because of the horrors of war. There's many people that go over there and come back and they don't have a family anymore because their partners moved on, and they've lost the house because of that as well. So it adds to the homeless epidemic we've got here. It adds to the mental health crisis we've got, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, why are we? Why? Robert Duck. Reportedly, Trump has just bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites.
Really?
Wow.
When did this happen?
Well, yeah. All right.
Well, that really would change the situation
Yeah.
if America's now bombing Iranian installations sites.
I mean,
I don't like that.
I don't like the sound of that at all.
You know, Iran's going to respond to that, and the American bases in the region are going to be a target if that's the case.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. But you get Russian assets, you get American assets, you get British assets. I mean, it was the coup you mentioned in the 50s. That was a joint effort between the CIA and MI6.
Yeah.
and that's what offended BP.
Yeah.
You know how good they keep care of our oceans, let alone everything else, you know. So we're very sorry.
What was that?
We're very sorry.
So where did you hear? Where is it? Is it on the news that America's now hitting nuclear sites in Iran? Where did you hear it? Who said that?
Rubber Duck said that.
Rubber Duck. Where did you hear that? I mean, is it CNN or
Or Fox or
ABC or
Infowars.
Young Turks, Alex Jones? I would like Alex Jones is looking pretty good these days, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I know where we're
I think he's on
going.
that Zempic.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. There's
Uh,
another one of them, and lots of people in my hometown seem to be going on at the start with an S.
no.
It's-
Monjaro is another one.
Yeah, maybe that. There's like loads of them, and it's just well, BBC 50 minutes, so thank you. All of them, all over the news, past
Whoa.
2 hours or so.
Well,
So Rubber Duck said past 2 hours or so, all over the news, Rubber Duck, all of them, change time, said BBC 50 minutes ago. Hey, I don't want you to know what you do with your BBC, mate. You know, right, you keep that to yourself.
oh no, I mean I'm going to Gareth. Could you open up another tab and
we obviously
see-
just missed that because we were busy
Yeah.
presenting the show.
I mean this show was supposed to go out a few days ago, but my
I was
producer
ill.
here was
I was
out
ill.
with a back injury.
Right. Don't we just go on YouTube or something?
Right. For all of you who are watching, can you see the link in the description? Fine. Because again, if you want to come on and give us your opinion on these strikes, please do.
What was I doing there? I'm sorry,
Just
John.
to verify if there are strikes.
Going to Google and just yes, change names to yes. Oh, right, yeah, you can see that one. Right.
That's not a good development if that's the case. You know, that's Americans pulled directly into the war, and if that's the case, I don't support Trump anymore. You know, and we think about this: Iran is larger than Iraq and Afghanistan put together, with a population of almost 90 million.
Yes. Yep.
He's did it.
Trump says free locations going forward overstruck as Washington joins Israel attack on
Oh,
Motherfucker.
oh God, he's done
Oh
it.
well. Bye bye MAGA. MAGA's
Yeah.
done, you know.
So can I? So what are for all of you who are listening in the chats? What do you think? Is it a good idea that Trump has hit the facilities in Iran? Do you agree with that? Yes or no? Does anyone agree with Trump hitting the sites?
Personally, I don't think it's a good
No,
idea.
no, it's a bad.
I think if America's involved, we'll be close behind as a good little lapdog as well.
And I thought Trump was given it 2 weeks.
Yeah,
He was given it 2 weeks.
that's he's just
So
what is going on
mendacious and
with this guy?
deceptive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm starting to think? Maybe what people say about this guy's.
Why would he hit the nuclear sites? You just said he did. Why would that? Okay, change sign.
Right, have I heard it wrong? I thought he hit their nuclear sites.
That's what I just read.
Right, so what did they say? Well,
Robert Duck said, you know, I didn't go back up. Sorry. Let me scroll up in this. Unfortunately.
Scroll up.
Uh,
Mate, you're getting fired in a minute. Firing you if you can't scroll to read these messages.
yeah, that's what it said. Yeah,
Who said what?
Rubber duck.
So, Rubber Duck, do you approve of the decision to hit these sites?
Oh, now they're saying you hit 3 enrichment plants.
It's a nuclear site.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that? Is that a good idea? Rubber Duck. I think it's a terrible idea. I really do.
Yeah, it's not good.
Aye.
I mean, they do have a legal right to enrich for something, don't they? They have a
You
right-
have a legal right to a civilian nuclear program.
If it went, they say if it ends the war quickly, yes. I don't think that's more.
Oh, that's very debatable. I don't think it's going to end the war. I think
that's not going to end the war. It's going to
especially if
escalate
it pulls in other countries, you know.
Yeah.
But how are you going to end the war? Because to end the war, you need to overthrow the government. And there has never been a case where a government has been overthrown without troops being deployed.
But they doubt it. They say, but they doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good. And it's very, coincidental, the serendipity of it all. The fact that we did this show while that went down.
Yeah. That's the thing I've noticed about this conflict. It is so fast paced. So fast paced. As soon as you learn one thing about it, 5-10 minutes later it's changed again.
Yeah.
It's just like every time you watch one YouTube video on it, another one pops up and then another, and it's just it's so fast. And it's so scary as well because we are talking potentially nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah, and there was that earthquake, I think it was a 5.2 in the Richter scale in eastern Iran underground that, a lot of people were saying could have been a nuclear test, underground.
Yeah.
It was Iran's way of saying, don't fuck with us, we're on the threshold. No. So, in the UK, it's 3:30 in the morning. So, although this is kind of breaking news to us, and I think it's bad, I'm going to need to get a show done because, as I said, it's 3:30 in the morning. But listen, everyone.
I stopped this before.
I know. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. And
James Stein says, are the actual nuclear sites? If so, is it justified to stop? So, are the actual nuclear sites? If so, it justifies to stop more death. Is it justified to stop more death?
Well, no, because Iran has the legal right to enrich uranium for civilian needs, for civilian uses. It's under international law that we can have a civilian nuclear program. And the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence in the United States, has said there is no evidence that Iran has weaponized their program.
Well, we've got a complaint from James Stein here. Don't start your show so late next time.
You're right, Dash. You're right. But you know me, my man. You know me. You know what my sleep pattern's like. You know what my sleep pattern.
He's not coming. Well, Kelly Crossing, it's very conflicting in the US because we've been buying resources from the Middle East for years. Well, within the last 10 years, there's been a huge push to produce our own energy through Alaska.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if the US could be more self-sufficient, it'd be great.
So
it'd be interesting to see what happens within the next couple of years.
Well, I think one thing you're going to see with Iran is potentially we're going to try and close the Strait of Hormuz, and you're going to see the Houthis, they'll close the Red Sea. So you'll see oil prices skyrocket as a result of this. Oil prices will skyrocket.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Stop oil, we'll have that though.
And for the Russians, that's great because a quarter of the Russians, budget economy is derived from oil.
And LNG. What would get?
LNG, I
No.
thought you were going to say LGBTQ,
Yeah.
you know, LGBTQ money. Where would you get that LGBTQ money from? Strip clubs, man? How does that happen?
No, I just go to the library.
Library? What
Yeah.
libraries are you going to, man?
You know, with the story time, with the nice
Trans,
lady.
trans,
What,
transgender
the
story?
transgender?
Right, this is serious.
Romance is still the same. I'll join you in another time.
Who's that?
Jordan. Yeah, Dash, you
Well,
say.
right. Well, Jordan, we put up notifications usually. As I said, I will put up a reminder on YouTube and Facebook, etc., on our next show when it is. I also will do that on X if you want to follow us there. And as I said, like we've actually got copyright for music now. Cost me like £200, but you know we usually have these intermission breaks so we can start playing commercial music, just to increase the production value, make it sound and look a bit more professional. You know, but you know I actually want to kind of tune in to the news, and because you know if I would have if I knew that they were going to hit the sites tonight, I would have had some guests on.
Yeah.
But we rushed this because we delayed the episode and we just got it out tonight, so I didn't have any guests on. However, next episode we're going to have guests on, and yeah, so tune in then. But we're going to wrap this one up, and I'm going to get some stuff done, go a walk, and then listen to the news. 3:30 in the morning, go a walk. Right, anyway, thanks for tuning in.
And
and-
thanks for the chats. Oh, I will do some research and join you if you like. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, join us next time if you want to come on in the subject, and I'll have another guest on too. And I don't know if you're on, as I said, Twitter X, but I'll put posts up there because you can't really post much on YouTube. But I do put up some, as I said, some alerts on when my next episode's on. Right, so wrapping us up.
Right.
So
Bye-bye,
thank you, everyone.
everyone.